Hello, ladies and gentlemen. PepperBelly here, bringing you guys a Takedown Red Sabre unfortunate first impressions video. Reason why I call it unfortunate is because simply the launch of this title has been a grueling disappointment, to say the least. Now, you guys have known, maybe not, I made a couple videos in the past, so you may have known, that I've been looking forward to this title for an extremely long time. Takedown Red Sabre to me was like the game I was dying to play, like, really badly. This is the game I wanted to get my hands on. I was looking forward to it like no other game. Almost like Chivalry Medieval Warfare was back in the day on my channel. I was so pumped to get my hands on this game. Because it goes back to the genre of previous games with the old-fashioned Rainbow Six titles from like the 90s and early 2000s, and the SWAT series, and even the Ghost Recon games. You know, all those old-school, true tactical shooters, thinking man strategy shooters, you know, that kind of thing. The hardcorest of the hardcore of shooters. A game not really designed for children. Well, basically, this is a game I was looking forward to because I found out it was coming out in the modern era, and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Because the last game I actually played that was good was SWAT 4, and that came out in, what, 2005? That was a long fucking time ago. So it's bound, there needed to be a change. There needed to be a new release for modern systems, and Takedown Red Sabre seemed like the answer. Unfortunately, the launch is just completely plagued with issues. Numerous issues. I'm going to get into them real quickly. I'm going to show you guys pretty much everything, and I'll show you the kill house really quickly. I'll go through a run through there. Ultimately, the game just disappointed me as a whole. Now, the thing is, some of us on the Steam forums, some people actually took notice, and I noticed this as well myself, and this could be the answer to the reason why this game is so fucked up at the moment. And it could be because when it was initially, or when you look in your Steam library, so you go in your Steam directory, and you find your installed games, you find Takedown Red Sabre. It says Takedown Red Sabre Early Access. That's the name of the actual folder itself. So that means, and it has happened in the past with previous Steam games, it means that they could have released the wrong build of the game. They could have released the game that was pre-alpha or whatever it was that was early access, like they said, like it actually says, and they didn't release the proper finished product. I hope to God, for Sorellin's sake, that is the issue, that Valve and Steam released the wrong version, simply because of how bad this turned out to be. I'm incredibly disappointed, and we're going to get into it right now. So, a lot of the issues that some people were having was not being able to save loadouts, and this is kind of stupid because I managed to figure this out, and essentially, it's really weird how you do it, and you can't even rename your loadouts. So, if you want to rename a loadout, say like CQB or like Rifleman or, you know, something more distinctive so you can kind of remember, like Demolition Engineer, something that lets you identify what that specific class loadout contains, you can't do that. It's simply loadout 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you can go into your primary weapons. You can change your primary weapons to a variety of weapons that you can see here. You got basically M4 variants, you got AK variants, you got MP5 variants, and that's pretty much... They're all in those categories, and they're decent, nonetheless. It's a good selection of weapons, and you can choose the ammo types you want. You can get even subsonic rounds, which is nice. You can choose optics, there's not very many. You got your holographic EOTech, you got your ACOG, you got a night vision IR sight, you got a traditional 8x magnification scope, I'm guessing, and you got plain iron sights. And then, of course, you can actually switch your suppressor to on or off. Doesn't really affect anything other, which is nice. It doesn't actually affect your weapon's performance, like most games like that want to say, oh, range and damage is reduced. That's bullshit. The weapon still performs the same way. The only difference is it's a longer weapon. I like how they actually show that. You got sidearms in here. You can choose a decent selection from. You got M92s, M96s, 1911s. You can choose weapon or ammo types as well. Armored, you can choose light, medium, heavy. Light meaning you're more mobile. Medium being pretty much the blend of both, and heavy meaning you can take a little bit more punishment. A little bit, and by that I mean literally a little bit. I mean, it's still a lethal as fuck game. You get like around it in the right place and you're dead, regardless of what ammo or what armor you're wearing. However, it also makes more noise. The more armor you're wearing, the more noise you make, and the AI will tend to hear you. You can choose your patch, which contains multiple flags and some icons. And of course, you got your equipment, which you can choose a frag grenade, a flashbang, or a breaching charge. There's not very many options there in terms of what you can choose. Now, if you want to save a loadout, say I'm done. I'm like, oh, I like this. Go back. It says like you haven't saved anything, right? It's like, unsaved settings will be lost. So what do? Well, if you leave, it's not going to save your loadout. But basically what you're going to want to do is click Modify down here. Or you can hit the Y key as many times as you want, do whatever you need to do, and then as soon as you back out, boom, it saved your loadout. That's how you do it. I don't know why it says modify traditionally when you say modify, you press that button, it lets you edit or modify a loadout or a weapon or whatever. In this particular situation, for some reason, it's what is actually used to save the loadout. Strange, I know. So here are the options. This is disgustingly disapproving. Like, this is just dreadful. I mean, I was very disappointed when I'm seeing right here. I mean, you got your video quality, you got your low, you got your medium, and you got your high. That's pretty much it. That's all it is. You got your full screen, your VSync. These two options, for some strange reason, do not stay the same. I don't get that. That doesn't make any, like, I mean, they're unchecked. That's basically what I'm saying. When I launched the game initially, it started in windowed mode. I came in here, I put on full screen, it checked the little box, I checked on the VSync just to see, clicked apply, it worked. But when I went back into the options, even though those options were applied, they were still unchecked. So it makes it very difficult to distinguish whether or not you actually have them on or not. Full screen, yes, you can tell because either it's full screen or it's not. VSync, however, you can't really tell other than going into the match itself, playing a game, and finding out you have screen tearing or reduced input latency, for example. Then you can go to your audio. Your audio settings are pretty much very basic, like they would be traditionally. Controls, very simple. Pretty much all you need to know. Controls are basic, nothing too fancy there. And then game settings is very minimal. I mean, you got show HUD, invert look, and your mouse sensitivity. That's pretty much it. Like, there's not a lot of options here, which is kind of a disappointment. Another thing that happens with this game is whenever you close the game. So I'll go, ooh, I want to exit the game, blah, blah, quit it. Whenever I quit, for some strange reason, it doesn't actually close the game. You have to open up your task manager, go to processes, find a takedown game, and manually end the process because it does not close the game. If you try relaunching another title, or if you're on Steam, it'll still say you're playing Takedown, even though you're clearly not playing it. It still says it, though. It's an issue that needs to be fixed. It's very annoying. It's unfortunate. So here are your options. You can host a server, you can join an online game, or you can join an IP directly, which you put in the IP address of whatever server you want to join. You can join it directly. Or you can go to join, find a bunch of servers. This is where the issues come in. Sometimes the game will crash whenever you're trying to join a server. Sometimes it won't. It doesn't update properly. The latency is completely off. You'll see it says 0 of 12. Even though if you join a server, there will be people in the server. But that's pretty much it. Like, you're not going to be going in there and it's 0 people. There will actually be players in the server. It just does not tell you how many there are. And it's just a constant issue. So I'm going to go into the shoot house now. Or the kill house, which you get if you pre-ordered the game. And I pre-ordered it literally the exact second I went live on Steam because I missed a Kickstarter and I was dying to play this. So of course, I jumped all over the chance of pre-ordering this thing. Unfortunately, it's disappointing that it turned out the way it did. So I'm going to show you basically just the basics. You got in here, you're in the game. Here you go. This is basically how it looks. It plays fairly decent, but it could have been improved significantly. So you got your basic movement, which is slow as fuck, which is to be expected in a tactical shooter, which is very realistic to an extent. And then of course you got your fast running, which is basically really good if you want to play more aggressive, maybe have a rapid rate semi-auto when you're clearing rooms in CQB environments, which is very realistic because I do that myself in real life. For those of you that know, I am a Canadian Forces Infantry soldier. This is what I love to do. And of course you got your sprinting, which this is used essentially if you're in open areas, because I mean, you're not going to be sprinting like this up and down the halls, Call of Duty style, you know, sprinting ADS and kill dudes and sprint. Like, although it seems like you can do it here, you know, like, oh, I'm sprinting and then ADS, like, it's not effective at all. Like, if you start doing that, you're not going to be, a guy is going to take 1 or 2 shots at you and you're going to be done, especially if he actually manages to clip you in such scenarios. So, okay, I don't even know why that didn't hit him. So you're moving around now. You can see, like, you have your lean, which you can't peek and move and lean at the same time. Like, that annoys me. If I'm holding down lean, I start moving, it raises him back up, which is so annoying. Also, leaning isn't even that, like, noticeable. It's not that apparent. Like, whenever you're leaning around a corner, it's like, oh, okay, I still feel like I'm exposing myself whenever I'm leaning around a corner. Because you're not leaning that far out. Like, I'm like tilting my head essentially on the spot, which is incredibly annoying. So I don't know what the situation with that is. I don't know if they're going to improve that, but looking at previous footage, the game pretty much seems to be that way. And it doesn't seem like they're going to want to change it at all. So point shooting is actually effective in this, which I like. If I come into a room, I can see a target, engage them quickly like so. Pretty quick engagements, which I like. It feels fluid and smooth, which is great. Because most games that are close quarters like this, they're pretty stupid. But as you can see here, you can engage targets rather quickly and effectively. Grenades, of course, there are grenades. You can throw them like such, blow things up. It's great. But for some reason, it doesn't actually eliminate the targets. You have to shoot them because, I don't know, it's just weird. The point shooting is effective, which I'm really pleased about in this title. Because most games, point shooting, like if you look, even games like Call of Duty, even though it's a run and gun game, right? And you're like, oh, it's Call of Duty, you're running and gunning, who really gives a shit, right? I never really liked the whole idea that if I'm moving like this and I'm just shooting from the hip, and I say hip with like quotation marks, like mocking, because you're not actually firing from the hip, you're shooting from the shoulder, and shooting from the shoulder is point shooting. So I can effectively engage a target from this range, point shooting, moving in on the target like this, and have a good grouping, which is realistic. I can even move at a rapid rate, engage targets on the move in a realistic manner, and this is actually realistic, because this is what you're trained to do in real life. To be able to move quickly and engage targets and point shoot. Normally when you're point shooting and you're moving rapidly, you gotta, basically the way you compensate is by pumping out more rounds. Essentially, in a real life situation, you're not gonna be, you know, even though they train you like, oh, okay, this is the doorway, for example, come in, double tap, and then move to the corner of the room, and then, you know, scan the rest of the room. Like, even though they train you to do that, in real life, if I'm coming into a room and I see that there's only one guy, I want to be like pumping so much lead into him, ensuring that he's actually going to die, which this game actually does pretty well, and I'm ecstatic about it. Like, it feels great that I can actually point shoot with a weapon effectively while moving at a fairly fast pace. The recoils are manageable on the MP5 variants, or M5 variants, whichever you want to call it. However, when you switch to the M4, which I'm going to do right here, I'm pretty sure this is the M4. Could be wrong. It's an M4 variant. You have an ACOG, which has no peripheral vision whatsoever. It completely conceals everything. But the recoil is ridiculous in this. So if I come around a corner like this, start shooting, it's not very manageable. Like, it goes everywhere. There's a lot of vertical climb to the M4, which the game prides itself on being realistic in terms of recoil and ballistics and stuff like that. However, I don't see this being realistic. I can fire significantly fast semi-auto rounds in real life and pretty much be on target every single time while moving, because I've trained to do, even just in the last, I think it was a month ago, I was doing that. So you guys know I came back like August, towards the end of August, and when I was doing this shit this summer, and whenever I was going into places or we were doing CQB drills, we'd be firing from ranges here. We'd actually be, for example, we'd stay from a distance like this, and you do a full unload. So you have like a 30 round magazine or a 28 if you want to, you know, make it so your weapon has a less chance of actually having a stoppage. You can stay at this range and you can fire fully automatic, maintain the recoil, and for some reason it jolts the screen down like that, which is extremely annoying whenever the recoil actually ends up ending. And you'd actually have a pretty sizable grouping. Same with semi-automatic, we'd actually start walking towards the target. You'd practice moving and shooting, so a target would be at the same range here, and you just walk slowly, and you practice doing semi-auto at a fast rate until you get up to the target, and you just unload on it. Now the recoil that's expressed in this game is a little bit unrealistic for how it actually performs in real life. I don't like that, because in real life, the recoil, especially on an M4, is so minor. It feels like you're firing a fucking paintball gun or, you know, something extremely small in comparison. Like, there's no way that you're gonna have from a 5.56 such a huge recoil whenever you're moving around with that type of weapon. Of course, you got your sniper rifle, which is pretty I don't know why there's 2 bullet holes right there. That's kind of strange. In its current state, the game is playable. The AI is a joke. It's the AI, if you can go online, I mean, Total Biscuit just posted a video up, actually, which he beat me to it because I was actually just in the process of finishing this video, and then I saw that he uploaded his, and I was like, shit. But basically, he covers the same points I cover, essentially, like the exact same points. And he shows off the AI, and you can find all kinds of videos online of the AI where basically that would be like an AI player, fucking AI trooper or whatever, and you'd be shooting like around him, and he wouldn't even respond. Like, he wouldn't even realize, oh, I'm being shot at. He just stands there and doesn't even acknowledge the fact that, you know, you're shooting at him and he's in trouble and he's going to die. He doesn't seem to notice. He doesn't seem to care. Basically, the AI is just completely foobarred. It's unfortunate because I was looking forward to this game so much, as well as many people who've been dying to get their hands on a true tactical shooter. Like the good old-fashioned days of playing Rainbow Six, SWAT, etc. Fortunately, this is the turnout at launch. But like I said, with that early access kind of folder name-ish thing going on, maybe there's a chance, a slight chance, that in fact it was a mistake on Valve's part, and the actual game is significantly better than this. We will not know until the game is actually, or until Sorellen, first of all, confirms all these problems and identifies them and says they're going to fix them, or they speak with Valve and figure out what the fuck's going on and why it's like this. Regardless, the game is good in its current state. It's decent. It's playable. If you haven't bought it already, I wouldn't recommend buying it until these issues are fixed. If you already have it, you can still play it. It's still fun to an extent. But overall, I'm extremely disappointed in how it turned out, and I'm really hoping that this game will turn around because of the amounts of potential it has. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. My name is PepperBelly with the unfortunate first impressions of Takedown Red Sabre. See you guys next time.